This is Jessica from goodenoughandstuff.com. Today I'll be showing you how to make a cushion cover. I already covered all the cushions on our couch, and so I will use a cushion from a chair upstairs that we have that someone was throwing out. It looks like they painted blue and maybe they thought it looked weird, but I think it looks okay. You'll need some bleached drop cloth, or just any fabric that you like, but it should be a little bit thicker. The reason why I'm using bleached drop cloth is because it's supposed to be really durable and it's supposed to be able to be bleached over and over, and I have 6 kids, so you know, things are going to need to get bleached. I'll leave a link in the description with all the supplies that I used and any suggestions that I have.
Here's the cushion that I'm using. Lay your fabric out and then place your cushion along the edge so that the edge kind of meets a little bit more than halfway across the cushion. This pink pin right here is about the halfway point of the cushion, so I have it a few inches above that. Trace the shape of the cushion. Spin it around and trace the other side, making sure that you place it a little bit past the middle pin again. This will make overlapping edges to form the envelope side of the cover. Youch! I hate getting poked by the pins. It feels like such a betrayal. Flip your cushion over and trace around the entire cushion for a complete piece. I accidentally got pencil on the couch, darn it! When you go to cut it out now, make sure you give yourself at least a good inch or more around everything you just marked. Now's a good time to mention that if you have a fabric that has a right and a wrong side, make sure that you're marking everything on the wrong side. Also, because I'm using a drop cloth, I placed the edges of my overlapping pieces on that hem that's already there on the drop cloth. If you don't have a pre-hemmed edge to use, you'll have to make sure you have enough extra fabric on those overlapping edges for like the envelope part and then hem them before you start putting everything together. Now we need to cut a piece for the side of the cushion. Let me just balance this with my foot for no reason. Cut another piece that's wider than the side of your cushion. If you're using drop cloth, you can just make a snip and rip it all the way down. I had to rip the hem off of one side and then rip my piece all the way down. The length of the strip needs to go all the way around the cushion plus a few inches. If you end up needing more than one strip, you can watch my video on how to connect them with a diagonal seam. It's exactly the right length and I didn't even have to measure. Great job, Jessica. Now place your 2 overlapping pieces on your cushion. You want to work with these ones first because it'll be easier to take the cushion out later. Remember to hem them where they overlap if they don't have a hem already from the drop cloth. Grab a bunch of pins, the long strip, and the piping that I showed you how to make in a previous video. Rest the piping against the piping on the cushion, leaving a tail sticking out the top. Place the long strip against that, but leave several inches out so you can connect it when it comes back around. Keep an eye as you're pinning that you're keeping everything like right where it's supposed to be so that you don't end up pulling it too far one way or another, and then you end up not having enough to pin another seam down the road. As I'm going along, I'm just feeling with my hands to find the edge of the piping, and then I'm putting the pin as close to it as possible because I'm going to be sewing right along where the pins are, and you want to sew right next to the piping because that will make everything look really nice and tidy. Keep an eye on the far side of the cushion while you're pinning this side just to make sure you're not pulling it too far and then you won't have enough on the other side. Here's what it should look like. Now just pin that all the way around. When you get all the way back around again, cross the piping and then try and get it flat against the piping that's on the cushion. Then sandwich it between the layers and pin it. I know this is not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to like open it up and like seam rip something and like sew it together, but it like just takes too long. This is so much easier. It looks kind of cool and I just don't care. Although all the layers were so thick that it bent the first pin. See, it looks like it's holding hands. You just pinned the piping and now you need to pin the ends of the long strip together. You're going to want to sew this line first before you do the one around the top. Get your machine ready to sew by switching the J foot, the regular normal foot, to the zipper foot, which usually says I on it.
Another thing that I found I think you really need is upholstery thread instead of just regular thread, because you're going to be wrestling the cushion in and out so many times. I made the cushion pretty tight against it so it'll like keep its shape and it'll look nice. I made the first cushion using regular thread and I ended up ripping the seams when I was trying to pull it out to like sew the other side. So once I used upholstery thread, there was no problem anymore.
With a thicker thread and a thicker fabric, you might end up with problems with your tension, which can result in big loops like this. So you might want to try and sew a few lines on some scrap fabric just to check it, and you might have to adjust the tension dial up or down to get it to look right. Now sew the ends of the long strip together. I wasn't being very careful and making sure that everything was like flat and out of the way, and I accidentally sewed a little bit of the fabric into the seam on the left side. So just be careful, make sure you get your hands in there and really flatten everything out. Trim off the extra before you keep going. Now you're going to sew the main seam that you pinned. There's a lot of layers of fabric here, so just be careful when you're sewing that everything is laying flat, especially when you go past this part that has the overlapping layers of the envelope. I stabbed myself so many times making this. Follow the pins and then try to sew as close as you can to the piping, just feel it through the fabric. The corners can get a little bit tricky, but just keep pulling the pins out, smoothing things out, and then you can make a little cut in the corner. Don't go past the pins, but just next to the pins on the right side, and that can kind of alleviate the tension and help to flatten it a little bit. Don't be afraid to like fold over a little bit of the fabric too to make little tiny pleats in the corner just to keep things flat also. Fit the cover back onto the cushion once you're done sewing that seam all the way around, and keep it inside out. Get all the piping and the seams in the right places, and then place a few pins in the middle so that it'll stay when you're trying to pin the other side. Flip the cushion over and then place the last piece on top and get it where you want it to be, and then place a few pins in the middle also to keep it from shifting around. I made some cuts in the corners so it won't be so hard to lay it flat when I'm sewing it, but I made sure not to cut it so far down that it was going past where I was going to sew it. Here are the pins that I placed to keep it from shifting around, but I should have put them more in the middle instead of just like around the perimeter. Now sandwich the piping between the two layers just like you did before, leaving an edge sticking out so that you can crisscross it if that's how you want to do it. Make sure the piping is sitting against the piping of the cushion, and then just pin it all together as close to the piping as you can all the way around. Give it a nice good pleat when you get to the corner, just like this. Here's how it should look when you're done. Now you've got to wrestle the cushion out of the cover, and you want to do it really carefully because you don't want to pop any of the pins or bend them like I did that with the first one I did. So carefully reach in through the envelope and pull it only against the seams that you already sewed. Don't pull against the ones that are pinned. It might seem impossible at first, but just keep going and just like go a little at a time and just keep pulling it out. Have you ever made anything from drop cloth? Let me know in the comments below. I finally got it out, and now it's time to sew the last seam. Here I'm sewing the pleat on one of the corners. Sew that all the way around and then trim off the extra fabric from all the seams. Looks like somebody woke up. This was very important that he showed the camera. Turn it right side out and wrestle it back into the cover. I know it seems again like it's going to be impossible, like it's not going to fit, but just keep pushing and shoving it in there and it'll work. Finished! Looks awesome. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. There's some strange threads sticking out here and there because the tension was off when I was making some of this piping, but it doesn't really matter. Our cat Walmart seems to like it.
Thank you for watching my video. I hope you liked it. I hoped it was helpful. If you have any questions about anything, please leave a comment below and I will do my best to answer. This whole series of videos was inspired by Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone, so I will leave a link below to her videos and her channel. I made all of these to be shorts videos, so that's why all of these are going to be vertical like this. If you go over to my channel, you'll be able to see the ones that I've made so far. There is already a shorts video for how to make a cushion cover, so if you want to see a shortened version, you can just go over there, but it's like a whirlwind of a video. So this one is meant to show you the details, to like kind of breathe a little bit more during the video, and be able to explain a little bit more. Check out some of my other videos. I make a lot of recipes and crafts and things, and I'll see you next time. Bye!